site.
Site the office.
10-4, hey, can you 911 outside?
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of my series, Crafts and Crimes. Every week I post a new video of myself crafting while talking about a different true crime. This week I'll be talking about the case of Pauline Parker and Juliet Hulme. Pauline Yvonne Parker was born in Christchurch, New Zealand, on May 26, 1938. She was the second girl born to Herbert and Honora Reaper. At 5 years old, Pauline was hospitalized with osteomyelitis, a crippling bone marrow infection. Though she survived with painful treatments, she suffered with chronic leg pain throughout her youth, which excluded her from physical activities at school. Juliet Marion Hulme was born in Blackheath, London, England, on October 28, 1938. She was the firstborn child of Henry and Hilda Hulme. When Juliet was a child, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis, a bacterial infection that mainly affects the lungs but can also affect the glands, bones, and nervous system. She was sent to live in the Bahamas, in the hopes that the warmer climates would improve her condition. Juliet rejoined her family in 1948 when her physicist father took a position as rector at Canterbury University College, in New Zealand. Both girls attended Christchurch Girls' High School, where they were in the same class. They bonded over the fact that they both had debilitating illnesses as children, and they quickly became inseparable. According to Pauline's accounts, the two of them both romanticized the idea of being sick. As their friendship developed, Parker and Hulme built an elaborate fantasy world. They wrote plays, books, and stories centered in their fantasy world, a parallel dimension, which they named the Fourth World. It was their version of heaven. Pauline and Juliet had dreams of going to Hollywood to have one of their novels turned into an epic film. The girls also invented their own religion and morality. They rejected Christianity and worshipped their own saints, believing that they could enter the Fourth World during periods of spiritual enlightenment. According to Parker, they achieved this spiritual enlightenment through their friendship with each other. At first, both families were pleased with the girls' friendship but quickly became concerned. When Juliet was hospitalized for her tuberculosis, the families saw it as an opportunity for the girls to spend some time apart. Once Hulme was released from the hospital, her intense codependent relationship with Parker resumed. Pauline's parents were concerned about the intensity of the friendship and took her to see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist informed the Parkers that he suspected the girls were having a homosexual relationship. This was very concerning to the family, as being homosexual was considered a serious mental illness, in addition to being a crime at this time. Despite the concerns of both families, the girls were allowed to remain friends. Pauline was still welcome for overnights and vacations at Ilam Homestead, the university housing where the Hulmes lived. Around this time in 1954, Dr. Hulme stepped down from his position as rector at Canterbury University College and separated from his wife. Juliet and Pauline found out that Hilda Hulme was having an affair with the family's lodger, Walter Perry. It was decided that Juliet would move to South Africa to live with a relative for her health, but also to separate the girls. The girls were panicked by this decision, and Pauline told her mother that she wanted to go with Juliet. Honora made it very clear that this would not be allowed. According to Pauline's diary from the time, they began planning her mother's death in June 1954 because they perceived her to be the greatest obstacle to their plans. The plan was to kill Pauline's mother, then flee to the United States where they would push their writing and work in film. June 22, 1954, Pauline, Juliet, and Honora went for a walk in Victoria Park in Christchurch. On an isolated path in the woods near a wooden bridge, the girls bludgeoned Honora to death with half a brick concealed in an old stocking. Hulme and Parker then ran back down the path covered in blood to the tea shop where they had eaten minutes before. They told the owners Agnes and Kenneth Ritchie that Reaper had fallen and hit her head. It was Kenneth who found Honora's body on the path. The police found the murder weapon in the woods. Major lacerations were found on Honora's head, face and neck with minimal damage to her hands. The girl's story of what happened quickly fell apart. Parker and Hulme stood trial for the crime in August 1954. There was a lot of speculation around their possible lesbianism and insanity. Prior to the trial, both Pauline and Honora were known by the surname Reaper, but it was revealed during the trial that Pauline's parents weren't married, so they were both given the Parker surname during the trial. Their insanity plea was rejected, and on August 28, 1954, both girls were found guilty. They were considered too young for the death penalty under New Zealand law, so instead they were convicted and held at Her Majesty's pleasure. In practice, this meant that they were to be detained at the discretion of the Minister of Justice. Both Pauline and Juliet were released separately 5 years later, and it is presumed that the two haven't had contact since the trial. After being released from prison, Pauline Parker was given a new name, Hilary Nathan. She spent 5 years in New Zealand, under intense surveillance after her release, before moving to England. As of 1997, Hilary Nathan was living in a small village in Kent, running a riding school for children, and had become a devout Catholic. Juliet Hulme returned to England and became a flight attendant. For a brief period of time in 1968, Juliet lived in the United States and joined the Church of the Latter-day Saints. She moved to a small Scottish village with her mother, and changed her name to Anne Perry. Anne Perry wrote her first novel, The Cater Street Hangman, which was published in 1979. In 2005, she appeared on The Trisha Show to discuss the crime on a special-themed episode. The 1994 film Heavenly Creatures was based on the case, and up until a few months after its release, most people weren't aware that mystery author Anne Perry was the grown-up Juliet Hulme. The film portrayed Pauline and Juliet as being in a lesbian relationship, which was denied by Perry after the film's release. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Crafts and Crimes. If you're interested in the things I'm crafting, please check out my social medias or Etsy shop. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and comment below with what future cases you want me to talk about. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any future uploads. I'll see you all next time.